You ever give someone a piece of advice and it just lands completely wrong? Yeah, we've all been there. It probably wasn't even what you said, but how you said it. Today, we're going to look at 3 phrases that seem kind of similar, but wow, do they pack a different punch. Should, supposed to, and had better. And trust me, getting these right can be the difference between a friendly tip and, well, an accidental threat.
Okay, just look at this for a second. On the left, you've got, "You should relax." Sounds nice, right? Just a friendly suggestion. But then look at the right. "You had better relax." Whoa. Suddenly it feels like a warning, doesn't it? Like something bad's going to happen if you don't. That massive shift in tone is exactly what we're going to break down.
So to make sense of all this, we're going to think of it as a ladder of intensity. We'll start at the very bottom, with the gentle stuff, and then we'll climb our way up, rung by rung, to the really forceful commands. Each step is going to get a little more urgent.
So, let's start on that very first rung, the absolute foundation of our ladder. This is home base for should, and its close cousin, ought to. These are your everyday go-to words for just giving advice and sharing what you think.
And honestly, it's really that simple. At its core, when you use should, you're just giving your personal take on things. You're basically saying, hey, from where I'm standing, this seems like a good idea. There's no rule book, no danger, it's just your opinion.
Here's a perfect everyday example. You should clean it more often. The person saying this isn't quoting some cleaning law, right? They're just giving you their personal advice. It's a simple suggestion, and it's based entirely on their opinion.
But here's where should gets interesting. It's like a little time traveler. In the present, it's advice. But if you shift it into the past by saying should have, the whole meaning flips. It's not helpful advice anymore. Now it's criticism, or it's about regret for something that's already done.
And this just nails it. I mean, saying this to someone who just missed their plane isn't helpful, right? It's way too late for that. What you're really doing is just pointing out their mistake. It's all about criticizing what went wrong in the past.
Let's just walk through this real quick. So, step 1, Kate goes to work sick. Bad move. Step 2, now she feels even worse. Of course. And step 3 is how we talk about that mistake after the fact. We use that past form, "she shouldn't have gone to work," to show we regret the decision she made.
All right, time to climb up to the next rung on our ladder. Be supposed to. Now this is a big deal, because the reason for the advice is totally different. It's not about your opinion anymore. It's about some kind of external thing, a rule, a plan, or just how things are done. The key word here, the one to remember, is external. When you use be supposed to, you're pointing to a force outside of you. It's like you're pointing to a sign or a schedule or a company policy. You're talking about an obligation that somebody else made.
This is such a classic example. The person saying this isn't giving their opinion about your parking job. Nope. They're pointing to a rule. The obligation is coming from an outside authority, not from their own personal feelings.
And supposed to isn't just for rules. It's also the perfect way to talk about plans that, well, fall apart. In this case, the phrase points back to the flight schedule. That was the plan. The plane got delayed, so there's this gap between what was supposed to happen and what actually did.
And here we are. We've reached the very top of our ladder. Had better. This one is the most intense, for sure. It's not a suggestion. It's not a rule. It is an urgent warning, and it implies that there will be a negative consequence if you ignore it.
The key thing to get is that had better is basically advice plus a warning. You're saying you need to do this thing right now, and if you don't, something bad is going to happen. The stakes are suddenly much, much higher.
This example is just perfect. The situation, a stolen car, is super urgent. The action, calling the police, is absolutely necessary. And the implied consequence of not calling? Yeah, you might never see that car again. See how should would be way too weak here? The situation demands had better. Okay, so we've climbed the whole ladder of giving advice. But what about when you need to ask for it? How do you get someone to give you their opinion? Let's add one last little tool to our communication toolkit.
When you're looking for a suggestion, probably the clearest and most polite way to ask is with, "Shall I?" It's a really direct and open invitation for someone to just tell you what they think you should do.
It's simple, it's clear, you're not asking about a rule, you're just asking for a personal suggestion. This is the exact perfect time to use shall I. And same thing here, you're just looking for ideas. When you ask,
who shall I invite? You're basically setting the other person up to give you that low-intensity, opinion-based advice we started with. Something like, oh, you should invite Sarah.
And here it is, the whole thing in one place. This is our ladder of intensity summarized. You can really see the progression, right? We start low with should. That's just an opinion. Then we move to medium with be supposed to. That's about a rule or a plan. And we end up at high intensity with had better, which is a flat-out warning. This right here is the main takeaway.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you give someone advice, take a second and ask yourself, what am I really saying here? Am I just sharing a friendly idea? Am I pointing out a rule? Or am I issuing a serious warning? Because now you know exactly what you're saying.